Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by. Alright, I'm going to confess something. I have two phobias. I have arachnophobia and calorophobia. Now, my arachnophobia, it's understandable. It's a reasonable fear. But everyone always heckles my ass, especially on social media, Facebook, and also in person, when anything related to clowns comes up and everything. I'm sorry, clowns just freak me the fuck out. Clowns are evil. They're all goddamn evil. However, unlike most, I have little outbursts here and there and all, but I am generally able to, face or control my fear of clowns and spiders to a certain degree and everything. And this control was utilized when I saw, the 2017 remake of It in theaters this weekend. So for those that don't know, It is basically, based off the Stephen King novel of the same name. And in this remake, basically, takes place in 1989. 7 kids from Derry, Maine, have just gone through the last day of school and are heading into the summer. A time that should be a bunch of fun for them, but it's not, because there's this very uneasy feeling of a lot of kids disappearing throughout the school year, and a curfew has been enacted, so it really restricts the amount of fun these 7 friends have and everything. One of the friends actually, is obsessed with trying to find his younger brother who went disappearing during this school year. And these 7 friends, encounter something that is far worse than what they have ever imagined. A freaking dancing clown that's going around killing the kids, Okay. Now, this is actually, I actually have issues with horror movies nowadays. Horror movies, it's really hard to do a good horror movie nowadays. And the reason why I say it's hard to do a good one is because the business side of things. A lot of studio suits and executives, they get in the way of the creativity of what a director, and a director and writer tries to bring into film, And one of the reasons why movies really suck now is because executives are more concerned with the bottom line and how much profit a movie is making, instead of basically giving you a creative and entertaining experience while trying to make money as well too. It's more about the money in the worldwide audience. And there have been a lot of horrific Hollywood-made horror movies, and I even can't call them horror movies. They're slasher movies. Something I'll get into Something I'll get into in a token topic in October. This remake is one of the few horror movies that is actually an authentic horror movie and is a great time in the movie theater. Now, unlike the miniseries that came out in 1990, this movie actually has the feel that Stephen King had in his novel and all. And it is a much better adaptation, of his novel in a media form, which I will get into in my AA. It's both, you have the cheerful aspect of of being a preteen and carefree at a time period, yet it also gave you a huge uneasy and unsettling feel. One thing about the book and everything is that it was very graphic and everything with how some people died, and this movie did not pull punches at all. And this movie had kids dying, kids and teenagers dying, and it was very graphic and everything. And this is one thing that, like, you know, a trope in horror movies that they tend to not show, which I am glad they had the balls to display this. You also got drawn into the characters in this movie, you know, and that's one thing that most movies to this day still have a problem with, and especially in horror movies. In horror movies, you really need to be drawn in and interested and feel a connection with the characters, because these are the people you want to come out on top. And if any of them die, it is a huge blow to you and everything and all. And this movie does that extremely well. And our antagonist, Pennywise. I don't know who this actor is. You know, I should try to look him up. But this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but this guy is Pennywise. He blows Tim Curry's performance out the window. You know, he is both. See, Tim Curry played him off, you know, more lighthearted. This guy was sinister. You know, he had this charm appeal that was able to drag you in, but you know, there was this uneasy, or like, you know, there was always this uneasiness or this it was like, is this really safe? You really want to approach it? And when he turned into, like, you know, the murderous Pennywise and everything, holy fuck, you know, it would, like, you know, like that, and you're like, no, you know, he amplified all the fear and terror you would get from being chlorophobic and everything. And, you know, he was, like, you know, brutal in his killings and his attacks, as well as his psychological warfare. So, one thing that this movie does kind of do that, like, you know, it really screws with you is, like, some of the CGI effects and everything. When, like, you know, Pennywise is chasing you down, like, running after you and everything, the CGI is apparent and it's kind of jarring and everything. So there are some scenes where, you know, he's chasing a kid that you really can't take that scene too serious, because, like, it's obvious CGI and everything, and it does tend to take you out of the moment. Another problem is, like, you know, basically, you know, I know that it's 7 kids that we're following and everything, but, you know, there are a couple of people that, you know, while they're there, you know, they don't get developed properly and everything. We're pretty much focusing mostly on the characters Bill, Beverly, and Ralph and everything. These are the characters we're mostly focusing on, but you do not really get the gist of the personalities of everyone except for Bill and Beverly. You get deeper into personalities. You kind of get Ben's personality to a degree, but not to the extent that you do with Bill and Beverly at this period. Another thing that kind of bothers me is that basically, you know, this movie, they started going a bit of the Hollywood route, and, you know, with some of the sexism and some of, with the sexism, they go into that route, which, you know, while it is off-putting, it is appropriate, because in the book was, like, high into misogyny, you know, anti-Semitism and racism, but they did the misogyny in a way where it's like, oh, come on, okay. There are nuances to misogyny that was written in 1985, 1986 when the book came out, that could have been placated to more so in this time, but they went the old-fashioned route, and they had to put in a Hollywood cliche with all of them arguing over something and them splitting up for a time period, which is unnecessary. However, you know, these complaints are, like, very minute to great special effects, huge fear atmosphere, you know, forgive me for that, you know, great character development, and a great adaptation that translates from the novel to the movie, which I'll get into in my AA. You know, all in all, it kicks ass. All right? Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell, you know, so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and I'll catch you guys later.